Imagine that in a single day, you lose everything you have, your goods, his home, your children, and even your health. Now imagine that, even in the midst of such pain, you kneel and say, "You gave, you took. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Impossible. For many, yes, but that's exactly what Job did. His story is not just a tragedy, it is a profound revelation about faith, the suffering and character of God. If you ever wondered, because the righteous suffer, this story is for you. Stay with me until the end, because you will see your fights with new eyes. At the beginning of the book that bears his name, the cloud introduces us to Job. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, upright man, straight to God, and who deviated from evil. He was rich, respected, father of 10 children, and round true example of righteousness. Job wasn't just one blessed man. He was deeply pious, offered sacrifices for his own children, fearing even if they had sinned in their thoughts. More, as we will see, the purest faith, often the most intense proof, is put. Today, in a horrible scene, we are taken to heaven. The children of God appear before the Lord, and with them, Satan. God asks the enemy if he has seen the servant Job, a fair man, and then comes the provocation. Does Job fear God for grace? You didn't put one fence around him and everything he has. Satan is accusing not only Job, but all mankind. He suggests that man's curiosity only exists when everything goes well. In other words, take the blessings, and he will curse you in your face. And God accepts the challenge. Everything happens suddenly. One servant arrives running. The oxen and donkeys were taken by invaders. Before he finishes speaking, another messenger brings one new tragedy. Skyfire fell on the sheep. Right after comes another. The Chaldeans attacked and took the camels. And finally, the worst news. Your children were eating and drinking. Then came a strong wind. The house collapsed and everyone died. In a few minutes, Job misses everything. And your reaction? He rips the clothes, scratches the head, prostrates itself on the ground, and loves, in coming out of my mother's and in coming back. You gave, you took. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But the story doesn't end there. Satan returns to the presence of God. The challenge is now more personal. Skin by skin, everything man has will do for his life. Touch his bones and flesh, and you will see. God allows. Job is attacked with ulcers from head to toe. He sits among ashes, itches wounds with ceramic shards. The pain is unbearable. The complete humiliation. His wife, seeing everything, it says, "You still preserve your integrity," curses God and dies, but Job responds firmly. You spoke like crazy. We will receive good and not evil from God. 3 friends of Job come to comfort him. He makes Bevel and Isophar. In the first 7 days, they just sit with him in silence. And that was your wisest moment. But then they start talking and wonder deep, insinuating that Job is suffering for some sin. But not. Their logic is simple. God is just, if you are suffering, it's because you did something wrong. This is the theology of retribution, and it is still nailed to this day. But the story of Job comes to unmask her. Good protest, don't understand why the pain, but maintains its integrity. He says, I know my Redeemer lives. At the climax of the book, God finally answers, but not with explanations. Instead, He asks questions. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Who put the measures? Who closed the sea with doors? God reveals his greatness and how much the human being understands little about eternal purposes. Job acknowledges his limitation and says, "Before I knew you just by listening to you talk. But now my eyes see you." God rebukes Job's friends for saying the wrong things about him and, surpreendentemente, sent Job to pray for them. After that, you restore Job's fate. He gets double everything he had before: sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. 10 new children, a long and full life. But the greatest blessing Job received was to know God intimately, even in suffering. The story of Job teaches us that true faith does not depend on blessings. Suffering is not always punishment. God can allow trials, but never abandons his. Job wasn't just tested, he was transformed. And if you are going through one dark phase, remember God is not in orbit by absence, but out of confidence. The story of Job is not an ancient tale, is a mirror of our lives. In times of loss, pain, and disability, we can choose murmuring or trust. You chose to trust. And you, what will be your choice? If this message touched your heart, share. Might be exactly what someone needs to hear today. You gave. You took. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen.